What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname coming back at y'all with training camp coverage of the New York Giants. Now then, of course, for reasons such as just me being busy, you know, in the real world, and then the unfortunate announcement of Golden Tate's suspension caused me to sort of push back my training camp coverage a little bit. But never fear, I'm back on it. And this one right here, I'm gonna try and keep it short because I'm gonna cover the private training camp day from Friday and yesterday's public training camp day on Saturday. And I'll be getting out in another video probably later tonight the training camp coverage from today. So with that being said, let's not waste much time, get right into it. Injuries, as I like to cover beforehand, I mean, they stay relatively the same as of today. Sterling Shepard's still out, even though he was on the field practicing on Saturday, you know, well, just really sort of observing, catching one-handed passes, one-hand catches and whatnot. Darius Slayton still kind of out with his hamstring injury. Grant Haley on Friday had to go out, but he came back on Saturday, I believe, with a hamstring injury and whatnot. But you know, really, other than the major stuff that we already know about, it's been relatively the same. So yeah, let's hop into Friday, day 2 of the practice, which was private. This was where the defense really shone. Day 2 was really all about the defense, and this is not really anything surprising. When training camp and OTAs and stuff like that, it's expected for the defense to come out and show out first, because with the offense, you know, it takes a while for everything to click into place, for everybody to work together. Like, the offense is like a big machine with a lot of moving parts. The defense, it does have a lot of moving parts, but it's not as complex. It's not as hard for them to get going as the offense is to get going. That's why, you know, in the previous years, the Giants offense really struggled. It's really difficult to get everybody on the same page and to have one smooth flow of the work so everything works out. But, you know, it was a combination of that and the fact that I think our defense has a lot of potential, which allowed them to show out on Friday. Lorenzo Carter, coming off his freak interception from Thursday, came right back in. This time played the edge rusher role brilliantly, more so than his coverage skills. He was forcing Saquon back inside where Dalvin Tomlinson was waiting for a tackle for loss. He was really kind of on Saquon all day, most of the practice, which is a surprise considering that this is the best running back in the league, and we got Pro Bowlers last year who couldn't even manage to tackle him on the first try. And so, you know, we've seen Carter's ability as a coverage linebacker. We've seen a little bit in the pass rush game, which is where I want to see a lot of production out of. On Friday, he was really displaying his skills as a run stopper. Next up, Corey Ballantyne, who I'll also talk about in the second half of the video for Saturday's practice. He had a good day today. Of course, it was on, is it 3rd string or 4th string? I'm not sure whether Lauletta is the 3rd string or he got demoted. But anyway, Corey Ballantyne had a nice pass breakup play on Alex Tanney, who was trying to throw the ball to Reggie White Jr. But Ballantyne had anticipated it and got in front of it, knocked the ball away. Julian Love, who has been an interesting prospect throughout this entire journey from the draft to now, because Giants have really been experimenting with him in the free safety spot along with the slot corner position. I personally believe he'll be best at slot corner, but they seem to think he has great flexibility and he has a great mindset. He could really just adapt to that free safety position, and if he can, then yeah, sure, why not? We'll have somebody there after Antoine Bethea goes out. And today, Friday, he played slot corner and safety with both the first and second groups. And because Haley had to leave, he had a little bit more time in there to show his skill set and whatnot. He seems to be doing good with both positions, but like I said, he's definitely better in the slot corner because that's really what he played in college. Still kind of adapting that free safety position. I think with some time, maybe he can become, you know, something of star level caliber, but you know, it will take time. And finally, on the defensive end, going back a little bit to the pass rush, we showed a little bit of a surge in the pass rush on Friday with O'Shane, Dexter, and Carter. They all 3 of them appeared at the backfield. A couple of them got some sacks, but mostly it was about consistent pressure on both the pass and run plays, especially from those 3 guys. I mean, O'Shane, some dude that I really love. I think that He, if given full starting time, will be something to just watch, but I don't expect it from him. They're probably going to have him as a role player. Dexter Lawrence, somebody that a lot of people think is just a nose tackle, but if you go back and watch his film, you go back and watch what his coaches say, they know and he knows that he could be a great presence on the interior defensive line in terms of getting interior pressure. And Lorenzo Carter, the guy that everybody expects to break out this year, especially coming off a great rookie season, he's going to be a great part of this Giants defense rush too. Now, just because the defense had a great day doesn't mean the offense was, you know, just a chopped liver. I mean, Saquon did what Saquon does. I mean, it seems like every practice we have something good to say about him. And this one on Friday, it was mostly about his leadership skills. He went up to every offensive lineman, you know, sort of give them a fist bump, you know, a little bit of hugging every now and then, just trying to show them that, like, we can do this, you know, giving them a little energy. He wants everybody energized. He wants everybody to have a great sense of purpose in the practice and whatnot. And we saw this during the regular season last year. If you look at sights and sounds, I think against the Redskins, where we blew out the Redskins, he had the same type of banter with the offensive linemen. At one point, he even told them what he needs them to do. He was like, I need you to take these defenders and push them off to the side and whatnot. Something along those lines. And the very next play, he went and had that 70-yard touchdown. So it's great to see him stepping up into that role. Really, he never left it. You know, Saquon Barkley, what can I say about this guy? Just a great player all around. So that's what practice on Friday covered. Not really too much, you know, since it was a private practice after all. I'm just going off of some reports out on Giants.com, NJ.com, and Giants Wire. But now moving on to the Saturday practice, which I got to see, and, you know, be taking information from what I saw along with these reports. Should be something a bit more exciting. Now then, something that's not mentioned in any of these reports, and I know why it's not mentioned, is that one of the best players in Saturday's practice was Golden Tate. Obviously, it's not mentioned because as it's looking right now, we're going to not have him for the first 4 games with his suspension, with the PED use through his fertility drug and whatnot. Whatever the case is, it wasn't mentioned because of that and because of the irony in that Tate had one of the best practices of the year on Saturday. And I noticed because, like I said, Saturday practice was actually one I got to watch through, you know, Ron Effect's live stream and whatnot. Once again, shout out to Ron Effect. But every time the ball was thrown Tate's way, I'm not sure, you know, there's no stats out there for it, but I'm pretty sure he didn't drop a single ball. Every ball that went up, whether it was a regular catch, he caught it, or he had to do something a little bit acrobatic, go up, you know, leap up and catch it, twist his body and whatnot. His yard after the catch and breaking ankles, you know what I'm saying, juking guys, obviously doing practice to get those extra yards was simply amazing. Golden Tate was the best receiver out there today practicing. And the reason it's not reported is because of his suspension. I just find that completely ironic, a little bit funny, and of course super disappointed because I think it was a stupid mistake on his part, but we can't change anything about it. We could just hope the NFL listens to his appeal and whatnot. Just want to get that out of the way because, like I said, it's not in any of these reports that I'm taking my information from. Now then, moving on, continuing with that offensive sort of flow, Evan Ingram had a good day, and I mean, we're kind of going to have to expect him to step up now. No matter who we sign in free agency to fill in these wide receiver spots, I think the main receiver for at least the first half of the season this year is going to be Evan Ingram. Expecting him to have a breakout year at this point, but he had a really good one. Really good practice today. He caught a touchdown from Eli during 7-on-7 drills in the red zone, and just in general was targeted a lot by Eli. Whenever he was in there the drills with them, he was really sort of leading by example for the other tight ends who also had a good day in CJ Conrad and Garrett Dickerson. CJ Conrad is somebody that I completely expect to make the 53-man roster. I really love this guy. He's really showing great promise. He kind of looks like a mini Evan Ingram with better blocking skills, to be honest with you. But then it brings up the question, if he makes the roster as, like, say, the second or third tight end, who are we cutting? Is it going to be Scott Simonson or is it going to be Rhett Ellison? I don't know. Don't be surprised if it's Ellison. I think we're going to save like $3.6 million in cap space if it is, which can go towards, I don't know, maybe signing a one-year deal for one of these receivers. Who knows? But Evan Ingram had a good day, which is nice to see considering what we're going to expect from him and considering that he missed spring practices because of, you know, injury concerns and whatnot. Going back to the defense though, another person that showed up on Friday, Julian Love, coming back at it. This really flexible guy that we got out of Notre Dame showed his skills in pass breakups today, and that's something that he's an expert on because at Notre Dame he was a career leader in pass breakups. So today he got his hands on the ball on Daniel Jones a couple times. He even had a fumble recovery and a near interception. In general, Love, he's been great value, man. Like, I think he's gonna make the starting spot somehow. And before today's practice, I really was thinking our 3 starting cornerbacks were gonna be Sam Beal, Janoris Jenkins, and DeAndre Baker. But it's looking like Julian Love could sneak in there. Or if he's not gonna be there, I think he's gonna be a rotational player that's gonna get a lot of minutes through a free safety role, which he seems to be thriving in. And since he's an expert in pass breakups, there's nobody better to learn from than Janoris Jenkins, who leads the NFL in pass breakups since 2012. A lot of people forget that Jackrabbit is still a top 10 cornerback. I would argue that any day of the week. I think he's going to have a sort of a comeback year, especially now that he has a lot of young guys below him. And he knows that one of the reasons they're there is because the Giants don't plan to keep him for much longer. I mean, I think this might be his last year with us. Who knows? We might extend him. I don't see that happening. But with this young core we have just right behind him, he's doing a great job, in leading them, trying to teach them, being a good leader and whatnot. So I'm happy for that. Corey Ballantyne, like I said, his name was going to come back up again. He had an interception today. It was on Kyle Lauletta, and it was a combination of a great defensive play but just a bad offensive play. Guys, I think Lauletta is going to be cut before preseason. If you watch it, I don't know, you can find the live stream on YouTube, but if you watch it, it literally seems like Lauletta threw the ball straight at Corey Ballantyne. I forgot who he was targeting, but Ballantyne, he definitely, like I said, did a good job on the defensive end. He stood there and he paused. He read the play perfectly, but it just seemed like Kyle threw the ball straight at him. Like, he didn't really have to move that much. He just went to the left a little bit, caught it, and he ran it back all the way into the end zone. So I mean, good play on him, but Lauletta might be gone by the end of the summer, guys. And Saturday was a great all-round day for the defensive linemen because Saturday was the first day they got full pads on. Everything's starting to feel a lot more like NFL football now. Obviously, like I said, they're never going to tackle each other with the same intensity as you tackle the opponent on the field, but it's getting real close to there. Dexter Lawrence had a really great all-round day. He was spotted in the backfield a couple of times. He stopped runs really greatly, and he worked well in tandem with Dalvin Tomlinson. Like, I really think these two guys are going to switch between nose tackle and left end, I believe, or is it right end? I'm not sure. I think they're going to keep BJ Hill on the right end side because he did a fantastic job last year at getting in there and getting sacks, and he doesn't really have the body type to be a nose tackle anyway. But I think Dalvin Tomlinson and Dexter Lawrence is going to be a tandem to look at this coming season. The offense, they kind of had their moments in the 7-on-7 drills. That's where they were more competitive. Like I mentioned before, it's going to take a while before the offense starts really clicking in here, but that's why they got the entirety of training camp to do so. And one guy on offense that seems to be improving consistently, Daniel Jones, he had a pair of touchdowns today with the second unit. Had one to Garrett Dickerson, undrafted free agent tight end, and one to Russell Shepard on the next play. And Jones, he seems to be doing really well with these passes that rely heavily on accuracy and placement of the ball. He seems to be really improving with back shoulder fades and passes really on to the side, like, that depends on where the receiver's body is, where the ball has to go. He seems to be improving really well with those passes. Really excited to see what he does in the next coming days, because with the way Lauletta is performing, we know he's going to be out. I mean, we took Jones with a 6th overall pick. He's definitely going to be the guy of the future, but it's just good to see him, playing at a high level, and it's nice to see that these coaches hype about him, specifically Shula and Shermer. It's not all for naught, it's not all for show. And speaking of quarterbacks, our starter, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Eli, he had a pretty good day today. He only missed, I think, one ball. It was to Benny Fowler during the blitz period. Other than that, he was like spot on for most of the day. He's been having a really good training camp. Everybody's commenting on how, he seems a little bit quicker. He dropped some of his weight. He's slimmed down a little bit. He got in shape more. He's really sort of fighting for this starting spot, or more so fighting to keep his job. And that's reflecting with his feel on the play. A couple reporters out there even said, these are guys that have been watching him from like the beginning of his career. They're like, they haven't noticed much change in him since, say, like 10 years ago in terms of how he's throwing the ball and whatnot, which is a good sign. But that's what I got for y'all today, covering the practices from Friday and Saturday. Saturday being the one where everything sort of picked up a little bit with pads going on. I'll be back later tonight, hopefully, with a recap of today's training camp practice. That's what I got for y'all. You're